And welcome to my craft room. My name's Julianne Richards and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in southern Tasmania. This is my very first Facebook Live, so welcome. A little bit nervous. I've been doing my very first YouTube Live, I've been doing Facebook Lives for a long time now, but this is my first attempt at a YouTube Live, so let's see how we go. I've actually not even got the screen set up properly, so apologies there. I've been mucking around with my phone and not actually concentrating on what I'm doing. Anyway, so as I say, welcome. I'm going to actually just try and get my iPad so I can watch what I'm doing, if you bear with me for a minute. Apologies about this, as I say, first time round, we'll see how we go. It takes a while to get set up for live YouTube. For anyone who doesn't know, you actually have to have 1,000 subscribers, so that's taken me the best part of a year to get 1,000 subscribers, so thank you everyone who has subscribed. And also it took a little while for YouTube to actually approve it, so I think the idea is that you can't, so you go live, you need a certain number of people before you go live, because they don't want you to just set up a weird YouTube channel and then and do sort of totally outrageous things on there, which is perfectly understandable. I'm having a bit of a trouble trying to find my YouTube here. Apologies there. I hope everyone can hear me. I can't actually see any chats or anything at the moment, so bear with me for a moment. Unfortunately, I'm still sorting this out. Today I'm going to, we'll see if I go there. Come on, you. Today I'm going to be doing 2 cards, and I know everybody's getting all excited for Christmas at the moment, but the way my family is, here we go, the way my family is, unfortunately, I have, and I think I worked it out, I have about 5 birthdays to get through. I have about 5 birthdays to get through before I can get to Christmas. So yes, my family have a lot of birthdays and things in this little period. So I'm going to do one birthday card, which is sort of like my to get that out of the way, and then I'm going to do a Christmas card as well. And I really like this little cut. It's actually a reverse gate card, and I really like it because it actually makes a focus of this little front panel here, whereas if you do a normal gate card, everything's hidden away behind the gate. So with this one, it's sort of out and proud, so to speak. Okay, so I've got everything working. That's really great, and we're all going. So I might start with the birthday. As I say, I've got 5 birthdays to get to before we get to Christmas, so let's see how we go with that. So this one here, I have to thank Vicky Boucher, a fellow Australian demonstrator, for the design. I've changed it a little bit, of course, but it's based basically on her original design. And we've got some people on here. Excellent. Hey, Sharon, thanks for joining me, and Mary, thanks as well. Okay, so let's get started. That screen's a little bit smaller than I thought, so I can't quite see. I wonder if I went sideways, would it be better? Yeah, that's better. Okay, cool. Oh, what's happened there? Okay, I don't know what I've just done there. Everything was wonderful and now it's gone. Here we go. There we go. Okay, so let's start. So basically I have a card base of Whisper White Thick, which is my normal card base size, which is 8 1/4 inches by 5 3/4, and I've scored it in the middle. So that's basically just a Whisper White Thick card base. And I add to that, I've got some layers and things. I've got everything all cut here, so you don't have to sit and watch me. So we've got our card base here, all cut and ready to go. Then I've got a layer of basic black cardstock, which is actually 1/4 inch smaller than our card base. So that would be 5 1/2 by 3 7/8. So there we go. Then we have a panel of just normal Whisper White cardstock, and that's cut 1/8 inch smaller than your black. So it just sits there. You've got a very small border of the black there. Okay, so then we get to the fun bit. We're actually going to start decorating. So it's going to have a combination of stamp sets. First of all, I'm going to be using the Daisy we go, the Daisy Lane stamp set, and I'm going to do this big daisy here, and I'm going to be stamping it in the new colour for this year, the Bumblebee. So let's get that all started. In my attempt to get organised, I've got piles and piles of stamp sets over here that I'm going to be using for this, and it's probably not as well organised as it could be. So I'm just going to do 2 of the large daisy in the Bumblebee. So 1, and the second one I'm actually going to do half strength, so I'll stamp off once and then stamp on. There we go. So it's a little bit lighter, a little bit fainter than the first one. Okay, just let me make sure I'm centered there. Okay, so I'll bring in my punch, and the good thing about this stamp set is that you've got a wonderful punch, so you don't have to fussy cut or worried about die cutting or anything like that. Great for people who are just building their stash. And I'll do the faint one then, and the first and the big one, the full strength one. There we go. Cool. So to give these daisies a little bit of interest, I am actually going to get my bone folder, and I'm going to curl the leaves very gently between my bone folder and my finger, just to give them a little bit of a downward curl. So just do that very gently. You don't want one of them coming off in your hand, which has happened before to all of us, I'm sure. So I'm going to get my setup all sorted eventually. I'm sure I will, and I might be able to set up one of those really newfangled sort of setups where you can see my face and see my work and stuff like that. But we'll get there eventually. We probably don't want it on a Sunday morning. That's why we are in Australia at the moment. Probably looking at my Sunday morning face probably isn't something you want to do over your cornflakes. So we'll stick to the work at the moment. So I'm just going to put a tiny drop of glue in that centre one there, and I'm going to line up our 2 daisies just like that. So there we are. So you can see even there where I pop my finger on it that it actually gives it a nice gentle little curl on those leaves, so they look a little bit more natural than just a straight flat daisy. Okay, so we'll pop that aside, very gentle because it's quite fragile. We'll put that aside. So what I'm also going to do is bring in the star of the show, is the Forever Fern stamp set. Everything's going to fall over. I don't want to lose my daisy, I'll just bring it in there. I'm going to bring in the Forever Fern stamp set. I'm going to use practically every leaf in this, and I'm going to use again the Bumblebee, but I'm also going to use our lovely Mossy Meadow. Now when I found this on Vicky's blog, she said that she was trying to mimic the colours of Australia, and she's done a lovely job, sort of with the yellow being sort of like our wattle, and this Mossy Meadow being the beautiful foliage of our trees. So I'm going to keep the colours exactly as Vicky intended them. Okay, so I've got this long sort of wispy sort of leaf here, which is very reminiscent of, say, a gum tree or something like that. I'm going to do 1 of those, or 2, no, 1. Doesn't really matter. We just want something that we can use for our background for our beautiful daisy. And I've got this little broad one here. I'm going to do 1 of that. So this is a really good card. If you've just bought this stamp set, you basically get to use all the little leaves and things and really showcase the beautiful designs from our wonderful design crew. Okay, so this one here is sort of like got a longer branch. I'm going to do this. So all these I'm doing in Mossy Meadow. Who else can I see? Oh, hey Sally. Sally's watching. Sally is one of my dear friends from Hobart here. She's just had a big birthday. Congratulations. You don't look a day over 49. 39, 29. 19's going probably back a bit too far. I hope you had a lovely day. Who else have we got? That's all at the moment. Okay, so I'm using the other two. There's two little leaves in this set as well, and they're quite handy actually. They look the same at the first glance, but one of them actually, and I'll bring them together so you can see, one of them sort of dips to the left or angles to the left, and the other angles to the right. So you can use them to form a really lovely little sort of archway almost. You know, sometimes you have a stamp and you wish it would face the other way for the design you're doing, and in this case you've actually got them there, which is really nice. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do is bring in this last little stamp, which is this one that looks a bit like berries. It's a sort of a circular leaf. I'll show you it's easier on that. It's sort of like a circular leaf, but if you sort of squint a bit, you can pretend that it looks like little berries or little blossoms. So I'm going to do this, two of these in our bumblebee, and I'm going to sort of use them as I would like if they were a flower, or in this case it's sort of like a wattle, which is it's actually blossoms just around Christmas time in Australia, or just before. Who have I got? Cheryl from Florida. Hey Cheryl, thanks for joining me. I hope everyone's well and safe where you are, as I do with everyone who's watching today. Okay, so that is the stamping I need to do for my card. And I'm going to, well, I would pop all those through the die cutting machine with the dies now, but I won't make you watch that. Anyone who watches me on Facebook realises that my house is over 120 years old, and the floor tends to wobble a bit like a trampoline in this part of the house anyway. So when I bring the die cutting machine into my craft room, the whole thing tends to wobble terribly, so I'm not going to put you through that. I do have hopes that one day some of my children will leave home and they'll let me take over their bedrooms in the newer part of the house that doesn't wobble like a trampoline. But at the moment, I'm stuck here. So anyway, cool. So I have actually cut all those out, and you would have to do that yourself. Okay, so here they all are. So we've got our couple of little leaves, we've got our beautiful bumblebee blossoms that we're going to call them, and our other leaves as well. So there we are. So I'll pop that aside and I'll make another card with that later. Okay, so we have our little daisy and we have our leaves. So what we might do is start layering up and gluing things together. So I'll put our Whisper White onto our basic black. There we go. And I just love our glue. You've got lots of time to wriggle things around before it actually dries hard. And then what I'm going to do is bring in this tiny piece of the bumblebee ribbon. So this is the ribbon from our In Colours this year, and there is a ribbon for every new colour, and this is the bumblebee one. So I'm going to pop that around our two layers of card there and position it sort of towards the lower third of our card. So I'm just going to get some tear and tape or some double-sided tape, whatever you use. Pop it roughly in. I don't suppose it matters yet, it's not actually got anything on the front, so I can choose whichever way up I want to go. And pop some tape there. And then bring in our ribbon, as I say, about the lower third. Just guess it a little bit by eye. You can always rip it up and push it down again. So let's line that up with our wonderful grid paper. Yeah, not too bad, Julianne. Not too bad for a Sunday morning. So we've got Cheryl and Mary from the US. What time is it over there, guys, at the moment? Probably towards the evening on Saturday, I should think, if my calculations are right. Oh, here we go. It's evening here. Yes, thank you, Mary. Yes, I'm always quite jealous because you are not quite as far through your weekend as we are. I'm looking at going back to work tomorrow, unfortunately. I am actually going into work. Anyone who knows me realises that I've been working from home since March, and which means I've been able to sneak on for sneaky sort of lunchtime lives on my Facebook page and stuff like that, but that will all end tomorrow because we're headed back into the office. And thankfully our state, this little state of Tassie, we are down the bottom of Australia, has been virus free for a little while, give or take a couple of cases from returning travellers. So my company has decided to open up the office and let us all back in. So tomorrow I'm off back into the office, which is sort of good, because I have laughed with people that my trouser buttons are practicing social distancing because they're getting further and further away from each other from all the hanging around at home and too near the kitchen. Anyway, so that'll be good. Cheryl's saying 7:15, so I wasn't far wrong, 7:15 on Saturday night in where she is in the States. Okay, so we've got our layers all up, we've got our ribbon in place, so we might start layering our lovely leaves. So what I want is, now with the one that Vicky did, she used the smaller of the daisies, so she was able to put her leaves closer together, whereas I'm using the larger daisy, which means to get the proper exposure, I suppose, for our leaves, I'm going to have to put them a little bit, spread them a little bit further apart. So I'm just going to pop that in there just as a guide to myself of where I'm going to structure this. So you sort of just, hey you, stay there. Just sort of structuring this to build a sort of background for our daisy, and I'm going to glue them in place obviously, but I just wanted to get an idea of roughly where they need to be. Okay, so I'll bring the daisy out and then hopefully remember where I've put everything. So about there. Okay, so let's glue these into place. Nope, so much for you staying there. Just a tiny bit of glue if it decides to come out. That was quick. Tiny bit of glue. I've got a class this afternoon, which is why I've gone so early this morning with my live. Class of 2 new ladies coming to me this afternoon, plus a couple of regulars. So I'm quite looking forward to that. It's always nice to meet new people and share crafting with them. Normally I wouldn't quite go as early. Well, early for me, early in with my lives. Okay, I might bring in this little blossom now. There we are. Don't you just love that yellow against that mossy meadow? I think that's just really nice. And then I'll bring this one in. It's a nice big one. So it's going to form sort of like a base, almost like a base to our design. I'm just using glue, just not doing anything too special with these, just gluing them down. And put this other blossom here. And I am going to bring in one of the lovely gold rings as well, just to give it an extra bit of specialness. There we are. I think they're okay. Yep, just testing again. So I've got these 2 little ones here, so I'm just going to position them. I don't want to put them too close because they will get swallowed up by our beautiful daisy. So I will just pop that one just under there. You go. Just like that. And the other one coming out there. I think someone's moving around in my house. I know my son's headed out to have breakfast with a friend, so that might be him heading off. Oh, no, his car's already gone, must have gone. Things happen while you're doing live videos and yes, I have no idea. Okay, so that there is fundamentally our decoration. So you can see our daisy is there, nice and bright and in the front, but it doesn't cover anything over too much, which is the look I'm going for. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, so we might now bring in our gold ring. In here, oh, crash bang, underneath everything else. I'm going to bring in our gold ring, so here we are. I'm going to have to order some more, I'm running out now. So second or third lot, I think. So we're going to attach our gold ring, and the way I do that is obviously the ring itself is quite thin and you couldn't put glue on it or anything. So what I do is I bring in our glue dots, which are nice little round circles of stickiness, but they are still quite wide. They're probably, what, 1/4 of an inch, wide in diameter. So just attach one to the back of our ring if it wants to go. Doesn't want to go. Yes. So it's actually on the back, and then just fold it in thirds just behind the ring. So you don't see too much. You do see a little bit of it, but you don't see too much poking out the sides of the ring. I'm going to use 2. So one on both sides. There we go. So I'm going to pop him just there. Hang on, that is somebody. You headed off, are you, lovey? Okay, see ya. I'm going to pop that. It was my son heading off for his breakfast. That's the good thing about lives, isn't it? Now you know. I have a son. I have 2 sons actually, and a beautiful daughter-in-law. Okay, so we've got our ring in there, and I'm going to pop our daisy in as well. Just with a little bit of glue. You could put your daisy on a dimensional as well, I think, but I think there's enough dimension in this one to not really worry about that. So just firm it down with your finger and hopefully it will stay. There we go. There. Cool. Okay, so hopefully you like that. What do you think? That really is nice. That got my attention as soon as I saw it on Pinterest. So it's a lovely design. Okay, so a couple more things, obviously. Now I think that I don't know if I want to do that. I might ask you guys. So on my original one, and when I followed the design of Vicky's, I've put tiny little black marker dots in the middle of my daisy, which probably makes it a little bit more lifelike, I suppose. But do you think I should do it with the second one? I'll just wait for a few minutes and you can type whether you think I should or not. I'm actually quite liking it without. I don't know. Well, anyway, we've seen which way to go or not. Hang on, I'll see what everyone's saying. Everything's gone a little bit funny with my iPad. Okay. Anyway, so you could choose. You want to pop your little black dots in or not. It's up to you. I might leave this one without, as just with a bit of contrast, and you can type whether you think I should do it. I'm going to do a happy birthday, as I said, get me through this season of birthdays in my family, and the stamp I used for the birthday has disappeared. I think it was Here's a Card. Here we go. Cheryl likes it with, Mary likes it with. Yeah, I think I probably do too. I'm going to use the happy birthday out of the Here's a Card sentiment set. I really, really love this one. I think it's got some really nice sentiments in it. Excuse me. And but something you can use for just about anything. There's obviously your normal happy birthday. There's congratulations. The one I really, really, really like is this one down here. It's all messy. The hair, the house, the heart, life. And then inside you put, I'm here if you need me. So if you have a friend who's struggling a little bit or needs to, you want to reach out and tell them that you love them, then I think that's a really nice one. I've actually coupled that with the Pampered Pets. For anyone who knows Stampin' Up at the moment, we've got that beautiful pet one with the scruffy dog, and I think those two go really, really well with that, because as we know, dogs can make life a little bit messy. Well, I know mine do. If someone invents a hairless, shedless dog, well, I suppose they have been invented, but anyway, yes. Dog hair everywhere. Okay, so I'm just going to stamp in black ink with my happy birthday, and there I have got 2 of my birthdays done. two of the many for this time of year. Ah, I always do that one crooked. Oh well, joys of handmade. I don't think my sticker's on straight, so I think my sticker actually tells me I'm straight, but I'm not actually. Going to have to work out how to get that straight. There we are. We've got our two cards, our two birthday cards. There we are, just like that. Cool. Okay, so that's my first card for today. I hope you enjoy that one. And let's get on to number 2. I'll just have a quick clean up, because if I don't, card number 2 is going to be an absolute schmozzle. Let's just move things away. Oh. There we are. What else do I not need? I need that. Don't need that. Okay, what have we got? Okay, so we've got our birthdays out of the way. Yay! Now we can look forward to Christmas. And I've been using the Coming Home bundle to make some cards recently. And the only reason I've been concentrating on that is because I thought I was going to struggle with it. I think it's a wonderful set, and I'll just bring it in for you to look at. It's a wonderful set, and I think it will be useful longer on in the year than just Christmas. It's got some of these cute little cottagey type houses. Well, fair enough, we've got a sort of a Christmas wreath there. But I have a feeling this will be really handy as the year goes by for sort of housewarmings, welcome to the neighbourhood, new house, that sort of thing. I think this is going to be one of those ones that you can basically bring out, you know, whenever you've got that sort of thing happening. I'm using this for Christmas, and I have made a few cards with it. If you check through my channel, you'll see I've made a couple of cards with it recently. And this one, as I say, is a reverse gate card. And I think it's really, really quite cute. I tend to make a reverse gate card Christmas themed every year. So again, if you search back through my feed, you'll probably find various Santa Claus and elf ones from years gone by. So what I've done here, and I'll just get rid of the dies. What I've done here is actually use all three of the little houses to build up sort of like a more fancy house, I suppose you'd call. I've got this big one here, which is at the back, and I've got this medium-sized one here, which is off here to the right-hand side, and this little one, which is sort of forming the entranceway, or the porch, I suppose, the front entrance here at the front. So I've sort of layered them up so it looks like the house is a little bit more complex. It's got a little bit more happening as far as rooms. And I have used as the background the paper from the Designer Series paper, which has disappeared behind me over here. And unfortunately, because I've used it all, I can't show you, but there is a piece of paper here, which had the mountain range at the top. So you only get 2 pieces per pack, unfortunately, so I've used both of them. But anyway, so what I've basically done is chopped the mountains off the top of this piece of paper and used them in my card. So I've got lots of cool things that I can use later. I can cut out the houses, and the other side is a beautiful sort of red twirl. But yes, I've cut the mountains off the top, so you've got basically instant background. So there we are. So that's it. So let's get making this one, and I'll show you what I've done. Okay, so everything's all cut here, so hopefully it'll go well. Okay, so the basis of a reverse gate, or this particular reverse gate card, I suppose the star of the show, I'm going to lose all my little die cuts if I'm not careful. Excuse me. Is this piece of cardstock here. So the way this one is, it's 4 1/8 inch high and 11 inches or 11.5, bear with me. Don't want to give you, 11 inches long. And I've scored it 2 3/4 and 4 1/8 inch from either end. So 2 3/4, 4 1/8, flip it round, 2 3/4, 4 1/8. And that gives you sort of like this, I don't know, what is it? Sort of, yeah, anyway, I don't even know what that shape would be. Sort of, yeah. And basically that's what your reverse gate is. So you basically, it sits like that. Okay, so that's that one. Then I've got, this is Poppy Parade. So I've got 3 panels of Poppy Parade. This one here is 4 inches square, and it's going to sit on the front like that. And these are 2 3/4, 2 5/8 wide by 4 inches high, and they're going to sit either side like that. And then I have pieces of the designer series paper that are going to sit. So basically that's our mountain range. Are going to sit there like this. And they are 1/8 of an inch smaller than your Poppy Parade. So they would be 3 3/4 high. No, 3 7/8 high and 3 7/8 square there. I've got a piece of cardstock for the back as well, because with this card there's actually nowhere to write. So I've got a piece of cardstock to slip in the back, so it's somewhere you can actually write a message. So there basically is the fundamentals of this, of the structure of this card. So I might as well, I'll put it all together and then we've got it done. We can get on with the fun bit. So put our designer series paper onto our Poppy Parade. Oh, the card base, this blue here is the, oh, and it's left my mind, the new one, Midnight Madness. Somebody tell me, I can't remember. Is it Midnight Madness? Yeah, Misty Moonlight. There's no madness or midnight involved. Misty Moonlight. It's one thing, you know, sometimes you have something that will not go, you know, you think you should remember it, but it just won't stay in your brain. It just won't stay in your brain. And that's one of them, the name of that colour. And it is my favourite out of the new ones, so I should remember it, but I don't. Okay, so we've got that. Okay, so I'm going to put those in the side. Oh, yep, no, that's right. I thought it was upside down. It wouldn't have mattered. Haven't put anything on upside down this video so far. That's pretty good for me. Pretty good for me indeed. It's usually something that goes on upside down or up to front or round about. But hey, that's the fun of it, isn't it? And it can always be, you know, it can always be fixed with stamping. You can cover it with a rhinestone or a ribbon or a stamp or something. Okay, so there we've got our front one done. Okay, so you have to be a little bit careful with this one because you can't go sort of and put all your glue there because it's got to sit. It's obviously not as wide as the panel you're sitting it on. So I tend to put the glue on this one and then position it over the top. And as I say, with our glue, you can move it until you're happy with it and you think it's central before it sets. With the Tombow glue anyway. There we are. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. I usually go live at least once or twice a week, usually on the weekends. As I say, I do have a day job, which I'm going back to, sadly. It's my sad face. Well, I have been working, but working from home, so I'm going back to the office tomorrow. But please, you know, do subscribe, and then you won't miss my future videos. Okay, so that's the basis of our card done there, and so now we can decorate it. I'll bring back a piece of Whisper White and the stamp set, and I'll show you what I've stamped. Okay, so you stamp just in the black, obviously, in our Memento black. So I've got the big house here. So it'd be nice for you to see the images. So this is a photopolymer stamp set. So if you are like me and you often struggle to get these to stamp clearly, you can pop either a silicone mat or a foam mat underneath, and it will stamp better, or if you do struggle with that. But I haven't actually had that trouble with this one. I don't know whether they've changed it slightly, or maybe I'm just getting the hang of it. But the foam mat does help if you have a particular stamp set that just doesn't want to cooperate. So there's our main house, the main part of our house. Excuse the crinkle. Bring in this little front one here, and this has got that cute little round sort of loft window happening, which is cute. So that's that one. And our little front room, our little entrance hall. There we are. Keep that close. I nearly put my wipe on it. It would have had terrible white splodges on it. That could have been a disaster. Okay, so that's our house built, or the basis of our house. What I'm also going to do is this nice big pine tree. I'm going to do 3 of those. I'm going to die cut these, or we'll die cut these. There's dies to go with the set, thankfully. So 3 nice big pine trees. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the smaller pine tree. You could do 6, but I had to fight my desire for symmetry, and I only did 5. I'll show you in a second. My husband laughs at me because everything has to be symmetrical. If there's 2 on one side, there has to be 2 on the other. If there's nothing, it has to be slight. One. Everything has to be in the middle. He does laugh at me, so I do try and fight it just to show him that I'm not totally obsessed. Okay, so that's all the stamping we need to do. So now I would colour these. I'm going to colour them. I'm going to use our blends, which are absolutely wonderful. Forgive me while I bring them into picture. So the blends are great in the fact that, as they are called, you can blend them. So you can blend them from dark to light and give it sort of a real sort of 3D effect. So our little house is a combination of light seaside spray and dark seaside spray. The windows are very light pool party. The trees are a combination of dark and light old olive with a bronze trunk, and the roof is light and dark crumb cake, and the skylight window, the loft window, is so saffron. So they're the colours that I've used to colour all our little bits and bobs. So I'll bring them in. I have mostly done them. I'll just finish off a tree and one of the rooms. Hopefully they haven't escaped too much. Okay, so because I'm layering our little house, I haven't bothered colouring it all because bits of it are going to be covered over. So this little one here is obviously going to come in and cover there. So that covers that. And our little front veranda is going to cover there. So I've left, sort of haven't bothered. But you could colour them all. I only did that because I knew from my original one what was going to be covered and what wasn't. Then I've got my pine trees, and again I've used the blends to make them look like they've got shadow and light. So it's a bit darker in where there would be shadows falling on our tree. So 1, 2, 3. Well, I think I've only got 4 little pine trees. 1, 2, 3, 4. Where's the other one? Well, I may have to go with symmetry after all. Oh no! Because I needed 5. Oh well, doesn't matter.
I'm sure it'll turn up eventually. Some long lost lonely pine tree will turn up somewhere. Okay, so let's, I'll just got to colour the front of our little house. So as I say, I'm going to use the dark. So putting the dark where you would expect the shadows to be. So, you know, under the window sash, around the corners, up under the window, up under the roof, the ceiling, roof. You'd expect there to be shadow, sort of down the side of the door. You know, just sort of use your imagination. And then bring in the light soft sea foam and just basically blend it in. Now this house has almost a, what's the word, what do they call it in art? Like a primitive feel to it, like a simplistic feel to it. So I haven't bothered blending too madly, too thoroughly, because I think it actually looks good with the slightly what's the word? I can't remember the word now, guys. I've lost it completely. Naive. I think that's what it is. There's a movement in art called naive, and I think it actually quite suits it with that naive look. Anyway, oh, Poppy Parade. Of course, we have to have Poppy Parade red front door. There we are. Okay, and then as I say, the windows are Pool Party, just to give them that sort of light behind their look, and the ceiling, the roof is in, oh no, actually that's wrong, that's bronze. Oh well, this one's slightly different. It's got bronze eaves, but then it's going to have crumb cake there. Doesn't matter too much. Cool. So that's our front door done. So now I'll just assemble our house, and I wish it was this easy to build a house in real life, because I'm just going to pop it together. So I'm going to put the this one here, this sort of medium sized bit here. There we are. And then I'm going to bring this little bit just to give it a little bit of oomph, a little bit of dimension. I'm going to pop the front foyer on a couple of dimensionals, just so it really looks like it's reaching out to get you, to welcome you. There we are. So how's that? That's our little house there, see? That's cool, isn't it? Okay, so what I'm going to do, just to add something, and nobody would notice, apart from maybe another card maker, is I'm going to just give it, with the dark crumb cake, I'm going to give it a tiny bit of shadow here, just to follow the contours of the front. And as I say, only you and I would probably notice that. And let's face it, I probably wouldn't notice it. So just blend that in a little bit, just to give it a little bit of shadow. It gives it a bit more dimension. Okay, so there, that's that one there. Thank you, Mary. This is they are so easy to colour with. It really, you know, it's child's play really. It is quite, what's the word? It's quite soothing and calming, the colouring. I love it. I just would sit and do it, you know, in the evening. So that's our house done. I'm going to do this last pine tree, and I am actually missing a large pine tree as well. Eek! So much for being organised, Julianne. Oh, I'm missing a large pine tree. So I might just use one from what we've stamped, because I do need that third pine tree. Okay, so we're going to bring in the light and dark old olive. Start again with the dark, and again, just where you think, if this was a real pine tree, where would the shadows be? So probably tucked up under there. And you know, with our shading, you don't have to be too precise. Just bring those colours in. Okay. And then with the light one, just shade that up. So when you're shading and you do want it to blend a little bit, I use just little circular motions with the lighter one just on the edge, just to soften it. But you don't want to soften it too much, because then, especially in a small area like this, you then end up with, you know, it all just goes one colour. You want to keep that graduation, that difference. And as I say, this is quite nice with the simple nature of it. Somebody's in my kitchen now, so apologies if you can hear that in the background. It's either my son or his partner. I've had my son and my oldest son and his partner living with us since October last year. They moved back from another part of the state, and we're only going to move in for a few months, and then obviously the virus hit and we got stuck. Not that I mind, but I'm sure they would love to be living somewhere other than with the mother-in-law. But anyway, we love having them home. Okay, so I'm just going to do this tree because I really do need a third pine tree. I might do the 5th little one as well since I'm here. And then I'm just blending that in as I did wrong end. Blending that in with the lighter one. So as I said before, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so today or now or wherever, while you're watching or before you leave. It'd be great to have you on board, and you'd get a notification next time I go live. Okay, we'll do the trunks. I'm just going to cut that little bit of paper out. And pop it through my die cutting machine. So bear with me for a minute. As I say, I don't bring it into camera because it makes everything wobble too much. So I will disappear briefly and pop these things through the die cutter. There we are. So there's our 2 extra trees. Where's the dies gone? There they are. Okay, so we can start getting on with the fun bit now, the extra fun bit, and assembling our card. So what I'm going to do is bring the house at the front, obviously, and pop it there. So I want it to sort of, I mean, as much as it's pretty paper, I do want to sort of cover over these trees that the designers put there. So I'm putting the house quite low down on the card, also because you don't want to cover over the beautiful mountains in the background. I'm just going to glue that on. It's done it again. How quickly does that go? It goes quicker in the funnel than it goes on the paper. So about central. You could do it slightly to one side if you want, but I'm going to pop it in central there. There we are. Then I'm I'm going to bring in one of my large pine trees. I'm going to put it off to the right hand side and tuck it in behind the front of the house so it looks like it's off slightly in the background. And the good thing with this card is because it closes like this, you can have it slightly off the edge as well. It just gives it that little bit of interest, makes it look like it's an actual scene. It's slightly off the edge, you see, slightly off the edge of the front there. And then I'm going to bring a little one in, just a little pine tree. I'm going to pop it over here on the left hand side and pop it so it looks like it's slightly in front of our house. It also helps that it covers over that little branch there from the paper itself. There we are. How's that? Can't get over how much clearer this. I know sometimes when I go live on Facebook everything's really blurry, but this is really, if you're seeing what I'm seeing, it's really sharp. I think I'm liking this Facebook Live business. YouTube Live. Okay, so there's the front done. So I was thinking about what I can put to the sides, and I thought, well, I don't really want to overdo it. It's quite, the paper's nice, it's got the mountains, you know, got our little house in the mountains. So I didn't want to make the rest of it too busy, so that's what I'm going to use the rest of these pine trees for. So it looks like our house is, you know, out in the wilderness with the beautiful mountains in the background. Actually, it reminds me of some of the, I don't know if Sharon's still watching, it reminds me of some of those South Island vistas. I know the mountains aren't quite as symmetrical as that, but you can imagine sort of New Zealand with the mountains in the background and the pine trees. They actually have pine trees in New Zealand, don't they? They do. I remember them. Okay, let's pop another little one here. Just up slightly so it looks like it's in the distance. And then another one. It's quite good. We've got our road sort of winding there as well. If you can see that, there's a little picture of a road on there. And we'll put this one also up a little bit and in the distance. Put too much glue on there. There we are. So that's one side, and then I'll do the same. I've got too many pine trees. After all that, I've got too many little pine trees. So I could go symmetrical after all, but I will resist it. So on this left hand side I'm going to put one pine tree there and just a little one next to it, just like that. Here we are. So if any of you know my husband and you see him and you say, I saw a video with Julianne and she didn't make the card completely symmetrical. There you go, see? It's not the same. I've got 3 trees on one side and 2 on the other. That's a small victory for me. There we go. So that's pretty much done. I hope you like that. I think that's really cute. Quite like that. Unfortunately, that's the only 2 cards you can make with 1 pack of paper, but you know, I can't think of a better excuse to go out and buy another pack of paper. So I'm going to put the sentiment. I'm going to use the sentiment because the stamp set doesn't have any sentiments. As I say, it's quite versatile that way. I'm going to use the sentiment from Triangle, and I'm using the one here, Christmas is best when we're together. And rather than cover over our beautiful scene with sentiment box, I'm just going to pop it straight onto the mountains, so to speak. So I'll bring in a block, probably a bit too big for the thing, but I'll use this block because it's what came to hand. Just reading, Cheryl, what you designed. Oh, thank you. I don't know that we influence each other so much. Sometimes I don't know whether it's me that's designed it or somebody else. I know we get the influences from everywhere. I know that little house I saw on a card from someone else, and then basically put it onto the fact that it's on a gate, a reverse gate. That's me. I like reverse gates, so that's mine, my influence, my contribution. So Christmas is best when we're together, and let's just all pray that we can be together at Christmas. It's been a tricky year for that, and I don't think it's going to get any easier in the next few months, but if we can't physically be together, then we will be together in spirit. Okay, so I'm going to put this on at an angle, I just know it. There we are. Oh, that's pretty good. Christmas is best when we're together. There you go. And one last thing I was going to do, and that's probably at the moment here in the southern hemisphere, we've all got our fires and our heaters and our heat pumps or air conditioners or reverse cycle air conditioners or whatever happening. But if I was living out here in this wilderness, I would have my fire going. So I'm going to pop this, the stamp set has this cute little sort of plume of smoke. I'll find a smaller block. A little plume of smoke. My iPad's about to die, so hopefully it'll make it through to the end of this video, or else I'll be flying blind. So I'm just going to put it in black. Just going to position it over the chimney, and there we are. So we've got the fire burning inside to make our little house even more welcoming. Excuse me. There we are. So that's our little house, a little Christmas card there with our wilderness scene and our welcoming little house with the lights on inside. So when it sits up on the shelf, it basically looks like that. It's a bit hard to show you here because it would look like that, but it actually looks like that when you put it on the shelf, and I think that's really, really nice. It sort of looks like, you know, it looks like an actual little scene, doesn't it? Really, it's really cute. Anyway, so back. I've got to put the panel on the back. As I say, there's nowhere to write there. Wouldn't it just break your heart if they wrote if you wrote on the front? So I'm going to put this little white panel in the middle there at the back. I made a box card for someone once, a box, exploding box, and I'd put a panel on the bottom of it for them to write on, and then when I saw them give it to the person, they'd actually written on one of the flaps of it. And I know it was their card, but oh, it broke my heart. I thought, oh, I've spludged that. I'm going to have to take that off because that's going to annoy me. Probably shouldn't have used the same piece of wipe that I'd been using. I'm going to cut myself a new one of that. Apologies there. That's my not concentrating on what I'm doing. So I'm going to cut another piece of Whisper White. Bear with me. Hopefully I'll get it done before my iPad dies. I don't think I gave you the measurements for that inside panel anyway. So it is 2 3/4 by 4 1/8. So I'm going to have to cut 2 3/4, so 2 5/8 by 4. There we go. Oh, careful there. And I'm going to sit down again. Forgive the wobbles of everything. Moving furniture also makes my craft room wobble. There we go. That's better. And from the, where's the stamp set that we used? From the triangle, I'm going to use the From All of Us. So you'd be giving it to somebody from the family, from my family to yours, or something like that. And I will do that in Misty Moonlight. So I had to read it then. So the front sentiment I actually did in Misty Moonlight. Did I mention that? I did. There we go. Took a bit of getting there, but it's stamped. Okay, so hopefully whoever gives this card will write in the back and not on the front somewhere and break my heart. There we go. It's all done. So the good thing about this is it folds into a normal 4x6, or just, you know, roughly 4x6. What's that? A C6 envelope? Yeah, normal envelope. but when it pops out, it's much, much bigger and much, much betterer. Yeah, anyway, that's fine. I hope you like that one. I hope you like both of our cards that we did today. So we've got our Christmas card there. I'll just move everything away. I'm a bit crooked there, aren't I? We've got our birthday card to help me get through the next 2 or 3 months with 5 birthdays in my family. So I'm going to be giving that to probably my sister or my mum. It's my mum's birthday in November, and my sister's birthday in November as well. So that's a birthday card for one of those. And our Christmas card. So when we get through the birthday season, we're ready for Christmas. And I think I've been crooked this whole video, so apologies if you felt me being a little bit crooked on your screen. All a bit of a learning. We'll get better at this YouTube live business, I'm sure. Okay, so thanks for joining me today. I'm so pleased with all the comments. I will answer all of them once I get off the video. So thanks so much for watching. Please watch for future videos. As I say, I try and do one every week. Sometimes if I'm good, I try to do a couple. But it's been really great having you. Thank you for making my first YouTube live a success. At least cards went okay, so hopefully that's a good sign for the future. Anyway, okay, have a great Saturday or Sunday, wherever on the planet you happen to be. Stay safe, and I will see you all next time. How do I stop it? That's the question. Oh, apologies, I have no idea how to stop it. Maybe there.